In 2011, they overthrew an army general. 3 years later, they are about to elect another one. Egyptians are deeply divided over the role of the military in politics.
We don't want any political role for the army. Its role is to protect, not to rule.
But it's been over 60 years since the army got involved in politics after ending the monarchy. The first generation of leaders such as Jamal Abdel Nasser and Anwar Sadat are seen as national war heroes, tasked with liberating Palestine and ending the Israeli occupation of Arab land. But during the subsequent 30-year rule of Hosni Mubarak, perceived internal threats took precedence over external ones. Mubarak turned his security apparatus on political opponents, imposed decades of emergency laws, and prepared his son to replace him. And yet, when the Egyptians rose up to overthrow him, they were still able to distinguish between the despotic ruler they wanted out of power and the average soldier who they saw as defender of the nation. The army refused to crack down on protesters. The military helped in the overthrow of Mubarak and thus was seen as the savior of the nation and potential defender of democracy. That situation didn't last. Army leaders formed a military council to rule an open-ended transition and tried to cling to power. A few months later, military police brutally crushed civilian protests before the army finally accepted to hold elections. A civilian president was elected, but that didn't mark the end of the trouble with the military. A year later, another general staged a coup against the elected president. This time, popular support for the military was shown by only one camp, including Mubarak supporters, some secular Egyptians, and other opponents of the Muslim Brotherhood. On the other hand, security forces opened fire on anti-coup protesters, killing several hundreds of them in Cairo. The coup leader, Field Marshal Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, posed as a man who didn't want power. That stance quickly changed.
I announce my will to run for the Egyptian presidency, and I would be honored to have your support.
Al-Sisi's candidacy and the security crackdown that preceded it caused many to worry that a new chapter of military oppression is about to start. Sisi's supporters, on the other hand, say this is the only solution for Egypt at the moment. Mohammed Vall, Al Jazeera.